Social Security arrives every month, and many people quietly assume it was designed to cover the basics for the rest of their lives: rent, groceries, utilities, a few medical needs, and some breathing room. That belief feels reasonable and familiar, and it has been passed down for decades. Here's the part that catches seniors off guard. Social Security was never designed to carry the full weight of modern aging costs, and by 2026, that gap is becoming harder to ignore. The risk is not sudden collapse or panic. The risk is slow erosion, where expenses quietly outpace income and people blame themselves instead of the system. A retired truck driver named Dennis in Ohio watched his grocery bill double while his benefit barely moved. A widow named Sharon in Arizona saw her rent increase twice in 1 year with no matching increase in income. A former school secretary named Pauline in Florida skipped dental care because Medicare did not cover it and Social Security could not stretch. None of them were reckless or unprepared. They were simply living longer in a more expensive world. Stay with me, because this is where it gets interesting and why so many careful seniors say later, "I wish someone had explained this before I made long-term decisions." My name is Judith Carver, and I am a senior protection educator. I help older Americans understand common legal and financial situations so they can avoid costly confusion and unnecessary stress. I am not a lawyer, and I do not provide legal advice. This content is for educational purposes only, and real legal guidance must always come from a licensed attorney or qualified professional who understands your specific circumstances. My role is to translate complicated systems into plain language so you can make informed choices. And I want you to hear this clearly: your rights do not expire with age. Let us start with the core misunderstanding. Social Security was created to replace only a portion of a worker's income, not the full amount. Most retirees receive an amount that covers roughly basic living costs at the time the system was designed, not modern expenses like rising rent, long-term care, or ongoing medical needs. A retired machinist named Frank assumed his benefit would stretch comfortably. Over time, property taxes, insurance, and utilities crept up. The emotional consequence was quiet anxiety. A former warehouse supervisor named Earl in Michigan delayed replacing his furnace because his winter heating bills kept rising faster than his check. A widow named Marlene in Pennsylvania watched her homeowner's insurance premium jump while her income stayed flat. None of them misunderstood the system on purpose. They trusted what they were told decades ago. The punchline is that the system did what it promised, but expectations drifted. Here's where it gets interesting. Cost of living adjustments are tied to inflation measures that do not fully reflect senior spending patterns. Medical costs, prescriptions, and supplemental insurance often rise faster than general inflation. A woman named Helen noticed her Social Security increase disappear once her Medicare premiums adjusted. The emotional result was frustration. The brutal truth is that an increase on paper does not always mean more money in your pocket. Now listen carefully, because 2026 matters more than most headlines explain. Trustees have warned for years that Social Security faces long-term funding pressure as more Americans retire and people live longer. Recent updates reaffirm that benefits are not vanishing and checks are not suddenly stopping. What the law currently allows, if Congress takes no action, is a future where incoming payroll taxes cover most, but not all, scheduled benefits. That creates uncertainty, not collapse. A retired electrician named Paul in Indiana put off planning because he assumed lawmakers would fix it quietly. A former office manager named Elaine in California worried herself sick because she thought payments would disappear overnight. Both reactions came from confusion, not facts. Current law still requires benefits to be paid, just potentially at a reduced level. if nothing changes. That uncertainty affects decisions about when to claim, whether to work part-time, or how much to draw from savings. The emotional weight comes from not knowing what to trust. The punchline is that planning beats guessing, and informed calm beats panic every time. Most people never notice this, but Medicare costs are closely tied to Social Security. Premiums for Part B and Part D are often deducted directly. When health costs rise faster than benefits, the gap widens. A retired nurse named Carol felt shocked when her net deposit shrank, despite a cost of living increase. The emotional consequence was distrust. The short punchline is that deductions matter more than headlines. This is the part nobody talks about. Social Security was never designed to cover long-term care. Assisted living, home health aides, and nursing facilities are largely paid out of pocket until assets are depleted. A widower named James assumed Medicare would step in. It did not. The emotional consequence was fear about independence. The punchline is that care planning must happen early. Pause for a moment. Housing has changed dramatically. Many seniors now rent rather than own outright. Social Security adjustments do not track local rent spikes. A woman named Diane had to move after her rent increased beyond her benefit. The emotional consequence was grief over losing community. The punchline is that housing strategy matters. Here's the untold truth. Taxes can apply to Social Security benefits depending on total income, and many seniors do not realize this until it happens. Withdrawals from retirement accounts, like traditional individual retirement arrangements, can push income over certain thresholds and cause a portion of Social Security to become taxable. A retired couple named Luis and Maria learned this after taking extra funds for home repairs and later receiving an unexpected tax bill. The emotional consequence was surprise and frustration because they believed Social Security was always tax-free. A widower named Thomas in North Carolina had the same experience after taking a larger distribution to help a grandchild. The punchline is that coordination prevents shock, and planning withdrawals carefully can protect both cash flow and peace of mind. Stay with me because solutions exist and they are more practical than most people realize. The first step is understanding your full Social Security benefit picture, including spousal benefits, survivor benefits, and delayed retirement credits. Current law allows benefits to increase when claiming is delayed past full retirement age, and those increases are permanent for life. That matters not just for monthly income, but also for survivor protection. Reviewing your Social Security statement regularly and confirming earnings accuracy helps ensure you receive every dollar you are entitled to under the law. Knowledge compounds because informed timing decisions affect income for decades. Another critical solution is coordinating Social Security with other income sources. Withdrawals from retirement accounts, pensions, or part-time work can be structured to reduce tax exposure and preserve benefit value. This coordination is legal, permitted, and encouraged within the current system, but it requires intention rather than guesswork. Understanding how income thresholds affect taxation of benefits prevents surprises and allows smoother cash flow. Budgeting must also shift from gross benefit amounts to net income after Medicare premiums, taxes, and deductions. This reflects real money available each month and reduces stress caused by overestimating spendable income. Planning based on net numbers restores control and confidence. Additional preparation includes reviewing eligibility for assistance programs designed to fill gaps. Social Security was never meant to cover, such as energy assistance, food support, and property tax relief. These programs are lawful supports, not handouts. Now watch out for this. Claims and misinformation spread online suggesting Social Security will vanish. That fear leads to rushed decisions and risky investments. Verification through official statements matters. The emotional relief is stability. The punchline is that facts slow panic. An extra tip is to review eligibility for assistance programs, like supplemental nutrition assistance programs, property tax relief, and energy assistance. These exist to fill gaps Social Security was never meant to cover. A man named Robert found relief through a local program. The emotional consequence was dignity preserved. The punchline is that support is not failure. Let us bring this home calmly. Social Security is a foundation, not a ceiling. It was never meant to absorb every cost of modern aging, and that truth becomes clearer as we move toward 2026. The shift I want you to make is from assumption to intention. Review, understand, plan, and ask questions early. If a situation ever feels legally or financially complex, contact a licensed attorney or qualified professional who can give you advice specific to your circumstances. You deserve calm, clarity, and respect. And if this information helps you recognize a pattern or avoid a mistake, share it with your friends, neighbors, or family members who may face the same pressures. Many seniors struggle simply because no one explained the system this way. A single conversation can protect someone you care about. Carry that forward with you. Your rights do not expire with age.